So the rework is an exoskeleton that enables wheelchair users to walk. So power exoskeletons, overcoming vertical mobility impairments, is the subject of this talk. I'll start with a clip from a program of Brave New World. This is a program that hosted by Stephen Hawking, the famous British physicist. And he identified the rewalk, or stated that it is one of the 5 inventions that will have a great impact on society in the future. So let's hear what he has to say.
We will show you how science is a force for good. Prepare to see your future.
This is the beginning of that brave new world.
Our lives have been defined by machines. Galileo's telescope was invented. Bell's telephone. Now, we stand on the edge of a new era. Tonight, we want to show you the 5 new machines we think are the most important. Machines that read our minds, that think like us, that take control. Machines that will change your world. But science is also using this technology to restore the human body, giving paraplegics an ability they thought was lost forever.
I'm Joy Reidenberg, and as a comparative anatomist, I'm fascinated by the mechanics of the human body, especially the way we can do the most complicated things with what seems like no effort at all. Here at the Moss Rehabilitation Center in Philadelphia, something remarkable, some may even say miraculous, is happening. I'm here to meet people who are paralyzed, but can now stand and walk on their own 2 feet. This is the machine behind the miracle. It's an exoskeleton. Rewalk is a sophisticated combination of engineering and sensing electronics, giving people the chance to do something that they thought they would never do again. Agnes Faraday was also paralyzed in a car accident. She is one of the more experienced users and has been training with the suit for 5 months. What did it feel like the first time you were able to stand up in a suit like this?
It was wonderful and very powerful.
Now these are not for weight bearing, these are just to keep you stable when you get up?
Yes.
Agnes has been using the suit for nearly half a year, so she can test its ability to keep up with her. I'm amazed at how fast Agnes is going. It's like a speed demon. I think she has it set on the highest setting possible. It's really amazing how fast she can make it move and how smoothly she makes it move.
What you see is that individuals, as they get practice with this, can walk and walk and walk, and they're happy to keep walking because they're not being fatigued by the system.
This is Professor Alberto Schimanazzi.
We'll see this suit being worn first thing in the morning and taken off at the end of the day after the individual has used it to go everywhere they need to go.
But ideally, of course, we want people to take this out on the road.
That will be the next step. That will be the next step for sure.
We will show.
Okay, so this is the essence of the device. Today the device works much faster and okay. I'll define continue with the mission of the company. What we want to do actually is to change, significantly change or introduce revolution into the life of people that are disabled and they are confined to wheelchairs. Namely, what we want to do is change the status of the person from wheelchair user to crutch user, which is a whole difference in the world. The problem, I'm afraid I'm going to repeat some of the what was said before me, but I'll say it anyhow. The confinement to wheelchair causes loss of self-esteem, loss of the dignity of the person, limited mobility, of course, and daily struggle. Daily struggle is a daily struggle. Getting out of bed, finishing the bathroom businesses every morning, getting out of the house. If you are lucky enough to have work, then going to work. And if you go to work and you're lucky enough to find a parking lot, this is another question. Okay, so poor health. You can have good quality of life if your health, general health is not good. And exclusion. Many of the disabled persons feel that they're not really part of the core of society, center of society, only the fringe of society, not being hugged by society. All these result in poor quality of life and high medical expenses as well as other related expenses. So it's not new to you that disabled community craves for inclusion, as I said before, quality of life. Independence, that was already talked about. Independence is so craved for. Upright mobility, and above all, health. Just think about it. Here you see a modern wheelchair, wiki. Go 25 centuries back and you have a wheelchair. And there is not really a revolution here. Fairly similar, I would say. So it's about time to make changes. Restoration of walking via exoskeletons. They have significant impact on physiology, psychology, and functionality of the person. Increases inclusion. The user not being perceived as a disabled. We have a lot of experience with that, where we have here on the bottom of the left, our test pilot, we call him, is paralyzed waist down, was injured in Lebanon 26 years ago. And they, when we go to exhibitions and conferences and so, and there was one time that there was a long line to the food, and the food was very expensive, I remember, and not very good. This is not the subject. And I was immediately advanced to the top of the beginning of the queue or of the line, because people, felt sorry for me in a wheelchair. He was standing in the line. He was just a person with crutches. So this is really fantastic. And going to work, have more options to spend time with your family. This is a reduction of health complications, urinary tract, which is also the #1 killer among disabled persons, sores, respiratory system improvement and cardiovascular system, and improvement of general health. This is Claire Lomas, and I'll show you, she went through the marathon, London Marathon recently, so she became quite famous. A daughter, at that time it was a year and a half or something like that. some background. The history of exoskeletons goes more than 60 years back, and I think that this exoskeleton by Professor Boko Bertovnik from Yugoslavia in 1972, he was the first actually to walk a group of people that are disabled. Well, you cannot talk about exoskeletons without mentioning the ones that are supposed to make the person like a Superman, augmented performance human being, or super soldier, the darkness activities. So these three below here are all devices for military use. All of them here are able-bodied persons. This is the Hulk, which is, I think, quite famous Japanese device. And Honda toy, or a device that ease the fatigue of the person while walking. Now, what we have now, we have devices for medical purposes or rehabilitation purposes. The difference between, oftentimes I'm being asked about what the difference between the Hulk, which is for military use, this is the Hulk, and the exoskeletons for restoring the walkability of a person. There are one main difference, that the exoskeleton for military uses, the person is, the exoskeleton is trying to do its best to follow the person, like to float the extra weight. While the exoskeleton for medical use, for rehabilitation, is that the person is behind the exoskeleton. I mean, the exoskeleton is leading, kind of opposites, kind of different. So it's not very easy, actually, to switch from one technology to other technology here. So the rewalk, what's the added value? Independent upright mobility, walking, negotiating stairs, ascending, descending stairs, reclining, and more. Easier to get in and out of the car. This is the last line here. The user is in full control of the device. Well, the device does it for the user, but the user is in full control. So this is again independence. Improved health, as was proven by multi-center clinical trials, safety and efficacy. Again, dignity, self-esteem are improved a lot. Inclusion, I repeat the inclusion all the time because it's so important for a person to feel that he's part of society, not the fringe of society, but the center of society. And the significantly less fatigue. I mean, our test pilot can walk for hours and hours without feeling any fatigue, simply because he is not carrying the device. He's carrying only himself, I mean the weight. But I'll talk about it today more. Here you see Claire Lomas during the marathon. She did the marathon 17 days, finished it. And lead in the Paralympics, the torch. More, the device is designed, and this was the goal of the project from the beginning. It's not, shouldn't be an assistive device only, but use independently all day use. The gait should be natural gait. The user shouldn't think about the walking, like a normal person doesn't think about the walking. Acceptance, we found that it was accepted enthusiastically among the users, among the disabled community. They stay in line, they offer, because years back they offered to pay just to have a safe place in the line to the personal device. As I said, the user has full control of the device. The device carries its own weight, and it works on multiple environments. Like you can basically, it's not for sport, and it should be used in urbanic environment, but it can go over grass. It was tested by that on grass, on the pavement. So a day in Radi, Radi's new life. Radi is what I said, is our test pilot, part of the R&D group. Very sharp guy. He's Druze, if you don't know what Druze is. They speak Arabic, and but there are different small community in the world, even in Israel. So he was injured, and since then he's in a wheelchair for many years. From time to time he takes devices, not his own device, but other devices to check them all day long. So here you see him in Akko market, the market in Akko, going through the narrow alleys without any problems, order for himself in the restaurant, and I would say almost normal. Ambulation. Few words about the clinical effects. I'm not a physician, I hope I don't make many mistakes, but I would like to say this is work done by Professor Anne Spanger from the VA Bronx. On the left, you see the heart, the mean heart rate. On the right, the energy consumption, the oxygen consumption of the person. The bottom line here is it's the same as the average able-bodied person. Again, it proves our claim that this is a device for all-day use, like everyone. If the person is tired, like normal, they can sit down, rest, and walk, all independent. Again, independent. Medical benefits as came from the clinical trials. There were not any adverse events. The ratio of lean mass to fat tissue mass was improved. Improved a lot actually. The bowel function, which is a great problem among people that are confined to wheelchairs, also improved. The psychology impact, positive impact on the psychology, the general health, and the urinary tract, osteoporosis, cardiovascular. These are not proven all the way through clinical trials, but we have a lot of feedback from the field. Now I'm coming to talk about the device. This is Agnes that you saw earlier. Starting from the top, on the backpack, which should be part of the device, you have batteries and the control main computer. The batteries we have two sets of batteries. One of the main battery the device uses. The other is for backup. The main is lithium-ion technology, and the backup is lithium polymer technology. A lot of safety around it. I'll talk later about it. There is a tilt sensor here that can measure the tilting of the device, or the center of mass, if you like, center of gravity. Each limb has, for the thighs, for the hips and legs, you have 4 motor units. Each motor unit contains, of course, the motor, gears, and its own microprocessor-based control board. So if there is, from some reason that shouldn't happen, but if the main computer decides, to take a tea break or something like that, not work, then one of the microprocessors can take over for limited. And the crutches here are not only for support, safety, and stability, but the crutches have a lot, major task in the walking process. The user pushes the crutches forward, then the whole device tilts forward, which is being sensed by this tilt sensor here. And one and only one step is triggered and initiated. Then in order to walk, you have to constantly or repeatedly push the crutches forward. And then there is tilt, and the user doesn't have to think about the walking, just walk. If the user stops pushing the crutches and the system waits for, say, a second or two, and then converges to a stand mode. Here you have on the hand, like a watch, it's a wireless remote control. Each icon here presents the mode in which the device in. And also lets the person know about the situation of the battery balance and if there are warnings and so on. And also there is one thing that if you are in the stand here in the middle position, you can select any other mode. But suppose you're climbing ascending stair or descending stair, you cannot select the sitting mode. It won't be there. It won't be lit, the sitting. So you can't negotiate the stairs and then push the sitting position, sitting mode, because there won't be any sitting mode while you're walking. And there is a manual mode here, and all kind of warning signals. Well, I'm going to bore you a little bit about the block diagram here, functional block diagram. This is a functional. So you have, as I said, power supply unit with main battery, lithium-ion, auxiliary battery, and protection boards. This is very important because battery, lithium-ion, such that every one of us has in the telephone, oftentimes they are not stable and can catch fire. Especially the lithium polymer is not all the time stable, I would say. So you have protection that for that. In the main control unit, you have also battery management that is supposed to act and protect before the protective boards here. So you have double kind of safety here. And wireless control, the tilt sensor here, and each motor has its own control board and sensors. Design considerations, these are also the specs of the device. You have to define, first of all, every project, not only this, you have to decide what do you want to do with the, and then go back each time to square one to make sure that you are there. So we wanted all the independent use, I repeat this, and simulation of the user capabilities into the control. When I'm asked what the difference between our device and why it hasn't been developed, say, 60 years ago, I think the main, okay, there is technology now that wasn't available then, but we took into serious considerations the human factor. Actually, we started with human factor. I have the first one at home. It was 2004. The first group that started to walk at home. Group of 3. One of them was a young lady that she said, and we wanted some kind of boots at the legs as a part of the device. And they said, no, I don't want your boots. I want my shoes. So the device today is so it's everyone can choose his own shoe, and it goes inside. This is a very, very, and lots of feedbacks we got from the field, and we have to design accordingly. So simulation of the user capability into the control, I think this is the main difference between, this made the success. And our followers, I think, well, they do, I think, the same. So I want just, can still the device control the pace, naturally can identify obstacles and avoid them, and so on. As I said before, the user controls the device. It is a non-robotic device, not autonomous device. Though we use robotic technology, but the device is maybe semi-robotic also, especially in stairs, for example. You can allow the device to be any automation, any automatic behavior. Each step should be, the user should look at the stairs, because oftentimes the stairs are not even. And look at the stairs, if he likes it, then he acknowledges, and then step by step acknowledge the stairs. Well, more of the same. Stability and safety, crutches, or railing while negotiating stairs. No functional electrical stimulation. We don't touch the human body. We don't want any businesses with the God. He designed the body, and we're not doing that. But there's a practical thing that the functional electrical stimulation was tried for many years, almost 30 years. There are devices that use functional electrical stimulation for walking, but there's a problem. It's not practical. You have fatigue that you cannot predict when the fatigue will occur after 2 minutes, after half an hour. You can't know. And the user supports his or her own weight. The device carries its own weight, and lots of safety. And I'll talk about safety now. And actually, I'm just repeating myself here. External support, non-automatic gate. If there is no tilt within a couple of seconds, then the system converges to a stance. And software, a lot of software, like forbidden modes, as I said, negotiating obstacles, for example. What happens if the person misses the entrance, wanting to pass the door, and say the left leg kicking the wall, right, and the right leg wants to get inside. So things like that. What happens if there is a stone or something that the user didn't pay attention or something like that, and it kicks and stops them. So the software knows how to overcome these kind of things. I think that the safety, the layers of software regarding the safety are as heavy as the layers of software regarding the ambulation algorithms. And things that are good engineering practice, like prevention, end of range, we don't want to break the knee, over current, over temperature. And we have manual modes that something happens, or the caregiver wants to treat the person in bed or something, or negotiating the entrance of the entering car or so, manual modes. And the main and backup batteries, as I said before, and the main computer backup, but one of the 4 motor units. This is important. Fall protection. There is a graceful collapse while walking or standing. Something, I don't know, if you have anyone here has hyperactive child or ADHD, Ritalin children? No one? So my wife can, I was 3 kids, all very active. So what's happening if the kid comes with a cutter and cuts the wires of the battery? And surprise, surprise, Daddy, what are you going to do? So the system, in that case, with no electricity, nothing, gently collapse the knees first, lots of time to find. And again, fall protection while standing from sitting, or the opposite. Sometimes there is, if the synchronization between the person and the machine, the computer, is not good, is lost, then the system can seat the person back in the chair, gently sitting. And these kind of things we try on the person. Major challenges, first decide what we want, what specs. And for that, we have to go into the head of the user. And we're not really cutting or something, as I saw yesterday. 5 minutes? Oh, it's good, I can finish within 15. So in that case, I'll jump to the structure, which is a bit more engineering. We can define the walk among the humans as a sequence of prevented falls. Every one of you that walks, this is the, if you notice, this is a kind of the behavior. The structure of everybody as human and our device is an inverted pendulum, where the center of mass behaves like pendulum, inverted pendulum. The crutches defined the range of the swing of this pendulum, or the range of the swing, the shifting in the center of mass. A single shift yields a single forward step. So repeating it, like you have a swing of the pendulum, and now we can redefine the walk as a process of swinging of the pendulum. It can be exemplified by this. The machine fights me all the time, this kind of thing, but I'm winning in the end. What you see here is a device that the energy is because because of the slope here. This gives the energy when the walking, and it is really obvious that we're talking about inverted pendulum. So if you have here the let's call it the front length hitting the ground here or here, then the center of mass goes to the trajectory like that, which is really inverted pendulum. On the other leg, the folded one behaves like a pendulum, regular one. This is important for not for us, more for prosthetists, that the collision they like creates, say, negative energy, and the taking off is the positive energy, and the issue here is trying to recycle the energy from here to here. Namely, is to keep the center of mass as high as possible, not falling down. The gate phases are well known. I'll skip it, not describe it too much, but you have gate patterns. What we try to do is impose these patterns on the machine, on the computer, to get close to normal walking. So the hip and knees, we don't do anything with the ankle. This is basic kind of walking, because the added value, it is important for a person to use the motorized kind of ankles, but the trouble is the balance of the complexity is too high, the added value is too low for that, and we found out that you can get normal walk only by driving with the proper gait patterns, the hips and the knees. he also, if oftentimes the person, like an hemiplegic person, or someone that the body is not symmetrical, and some shortening of the tendons, for example. What do? So we want the device not to be used only by symmetrical and healthy so-called body function. So we can formulate the illness or the problem with sometimes one leg is shorter. We can formulate an equation kind of thing, a function, and take this function, the inverse of this function, and assimilate it, with the function that the end result, so to balance between the two parts of the body. Recently, this guy bought this for a home. This is, again, clear. And I forgot what the other. I have another, the last one, video clip. You see, it's not a new one, it's not recent actually, though it's written recently here. What you see again, Agnes walking. She was quite at the beginning, and he is already experienced. And that guy here sits here with me, my aide, Melvin. He's a very relaxed difficulty because he's very trained. He doesn't think, he looks straight ahead, can look around. He doesn't think and doesn't care about the way he walks. It is very automatic for him. Here you can see she spreads the carotid too much, and it's difficult for her. This is the way he walks, and other right now. This is from about 2 years ago. He can walk for hours and be with the device for hours, very relaxed. If a person gets tired, it means he's not there. That it means that he hasn't grasped the technique yet, or so. So you have a lot of people here. We call them re-walkers. So when they know the older walkers in the world, that are 150 re-walkers. We think, I think.
Amit, we can't thank you enough, and it's really an interesting story, isn't it, when we have the engineer who has experienced the paralysis, who has created a device to overcome this, and started a company. What an achievement. There aren't many people on this planet, I think, who could do something so exciting. There are